We've seen the Archmage on a Moondragon a few times recently, so today I wanted to highlight Moondragon both as a unit and as a mount. Today here, this is from Captain Telis, is up against Ondiaga, so definitely in for a good time. High Elves versus Dark Elves. Yeah, let's take a look at the builds. A couple of Scourge Runners are already skirmishing with 2 Reaver Archers. We've got 1 unit of Dragon Princes, some Rangers mixed with White Lions for a front line, and a couple of Noble Chariots. A relatively thin build on both sides. Dark Elves here coming in with a couple more Scourge Runners. They've got some Sad Swords, Witch Elves, Fear Spears, Malekith on a Cold One, and a Master on horseback, I believe. Yes, and a unit of Cold One Knights as well. So, getting back to the Moondragon. Yeah, it's kind of a mid-tier dragon, as we've seen. I say mid-tier, it's, you know, got a breath attack, which is good against single entities, not as good against single entities as the Star Dragon, but also can be used against infantry, blobs, and cavalry blobs, you know, kind of covering a wider area. So kind of a nice all-around dragon in that way. Decent weapon strength, fire damage, as all of the High Elf dragons have. Only 60 armor with the Archmage astride, 520 weapon strength, great armor piercing damage, 44 melee attack, 50 charge. Yeah, a little bit more of a balanced, I guess maybe not balanced, but yeah, kind of a midpoint, I guess, between the Star Dragon and the Sun Dragon, right? A bit of a charge in here, hit and run from the Master, and the Witch Elves kind of trading out, allowing the Sad Swords to take the brunt of that damage. Here, Malekith going to get charged by the Archmage. The Moondragon also provides a pretty good mount option. It's not too expensive to be prohibitive, and you can also take Lore of Life with it, which is very nice. Soul Stealer here, greatly placed, going to hit this big old blob of units, including the Dragon Princes. That an insane amount of value, but Malekith is stuck in here taking an extreme amount of damage. There's support units nearby, but not exactly collapsing into this pocket. He should be fine. It's not like he's going to necessarily go down here, but the Sad Sword's definitely eating it right there. Witch Elves and Cold One Knights also kind of breaking the front line. Just 1 unit of Rangers left. High Elves definitely taking some damage there. But, yeah, Moondragon. It's a dragon. What more can I say? Mid-tier dragon. So we're just going to watch it do some work here. And it's not like dragon mounts are unique to High Elves by any means. In fact, both Vampire Counts and Warriors of Chaos have always been able to take dragon mounts from the beginning. But we can kind of compare the mounts as well. I want to say the Moondragon is one of the more cost-effective options. I probably should have done some comparisons before the fact to actually like look at it. But it's, you know, it's a tier up from, say, the Sun Dragon or the Blade Dragon, the Forest Dragon, Frost Worm. All of those are kind of a step down. I would say this is on the same tier as like the Black Dragon. Really nice breath attack placement though, just wrecks Sisters of Singing Doom there, and more of the Sad Swords. The last unit of Healthy Rangers does get eaten up. There's still some White Lions here, and the Dragon Prince is also kind of just chilling in the back, but Reaver Archer is critically still alive, able to put in some shots on some of these units here. There's still a lot of Scourge Runners left as well, which is definitely dangerous. That anti-large armor piercing, I guess, giant crossbow fire will do some good damage to the Archmage there. So she's got to be careful. Likewise, going on the single entity combat, the Archmage definitely wants the support of the Nobles, but here, the Master gets a little bit removed from Malekith. Malekith taking the charge from the Dragon. Actually, you know, very comparable combatant, even though he's on a much lesser mount. But as the Master rear charges in, the Life Mage going to pull away there. The Life Archmage does pop a Earthblood to heal herself back up. Manages to get back up in the air just before the Scourge Runner Chariots make contact. And a really nice Awakening of the Wood is going to debuff the speed on the Scourge Runners. You can see they go down to 44 speed. Just allow these other units to get some more incidental hits. Dragon Prince is pushing out and around as well. The Noble Chariots have been mostly unopposed here, with the Cold One Knights being completely gone. You know, they can kind of just rampage through what's left of this infantry. And the Cold One Chariots, or sorry, the Scourge Runner Chariots, just about out of ammunition at this point, which means they don't have enough, potentially, yeah, try and finish things off. Sorry about the game volume, guys. It looks like it may be a little bit high, but we'll get it worked out for next time. Anyway, Yeah, I mean, the Scourge Runners in melee in the late game will be quite strong as long as they can keep Malekith and the Master from taking too much damage. The thing is, though, as any of you guys who watched my videos for any length of time should know, single entity combat typically comes down to numbers, and even though the chariots are anti-infantry, still 74 charge bonus, and, you know, the fact their model takes up so much space and has a lot of mass, they can actually get like a triangle surround and potentially trap one of these two single entities in and just rampage them, just straight up dump all over them. So they got to be careful. And Yaga's starting to fall behind a little bit on the balance of power at this point as the Scourge Runners are out of ammo and having a hard time staying away from the Dragon Princes. You can see the Dragon Princes pursuing there. Power of Darkness on the one Scourge Runner chariot. Try and pull up a little bit of extra Winds of Magic to try and get one more Soul Stealer perhaps. But we'll see. There you can see that once the Scourge Runners do get stopped up by the Noble Chariots and others, they just get torn apart very quickly. Excuse me. The fact the Noble Chariots do armor-piercing damage as well, quite strong. Here come the Scourge Runners, charging into the Cav. Cav pulls away. So we'll fast forward a little bit through this late game as it is just a matter of time. High Elf Cavalry surrounding the chariots here. Dragon, Archmage, and the two nobles coming over. Oof, just immediate drop. Hail Slap is going to lead to a quick tear route for both of those Scourge Runner chariots. Well, at least the one. Meanwhile, the nobles and the Dragon Prince come and surround Malekith. That's going to be a bad day for him. Standing ground has been popped on the Dark Elves, giving them all quite a bit of melee defense, up to 74 melee defense on that Master, 79 for Malekith. But nice breath attack here. We can see performance against single entities. Again, it's pretty good. If you're like directly above the single entities, it's perhaps a little bit better. Malekith does pop a Soul Stealer, but it doesn't actually go off before army losses hit. So, good one. Nice fun battle. Nice back and forth there. Yeah, Yaga making a strong frontline push, but at the end of the day, just not having quite enough in the tank to finish everything off. I mean, the double Noble Chariot plus Healing Caster is pretty classic. Normally you'd see Lariel on an Eagle, but I do like this kind of as an option as well. The Life Archmage, a little bit more potential damage output, even if she doesn't have as much raw healing as Alariel. Yeah, frontline, like I said, gets pretty well crumped here. I mean, none of the infantry really pay for themselves. Dragon Princes come pretty close, though. They do a good job. Reaver Archers are cost-effective as they're able to use up all of their ammunition. Malekith also generates some really nice value. Honestly, given how cheap-ish, in comparison, he is on his Old One mount, it can be a decent option as well. Master, not quite so much damage. Had a little bit of a tougher time in this situation, but still. Witch Elves, doing all right. Fierce Spears, Sad Swords, again, trading decently cost-effectively. The Scourge Runners all pay for themselves, but at the end of the day, just not quite enough anti-large AP besides them. And the Cold One Knights didn't really do enough for you there. But some Moon Dragon in comparison, I want to compare it to the Chaos Dragon mount, as well as the Black Dragon, of course. As I mentioned, they're kind of, in my mind, on a similar tier. Unfortunately, we don't have just a straight-up Chaos Dragon unit to compare, but one benefit we do have is comparing the cost, right? So we look here and remove all the spells and abilities from the Chaos Sorcerer. 700 base cost. And for the High Elf Archmage, it's 450 base cost. Now, you would kind of expect that. Chaos Sorcerer, significantly more armor, you know, just better stats in every way. He's kind of a hybrid melee fighter, not exactly, but certainly more in that direction than the Archmage. Now, the Archmage, 1750 for the Moon Dragon, right? So it is quite expensive an upgrade. Goes all the way up to 2200. Chaos Dragon, only 2100 for the Sorcerer Lord, but the stats do become a lot more comparable. 60 armor to 70. The Archmage actually has slightly more health, which is interesting to me. More leadership, but again, the stats all kind of slightly different back and forth, but very much comparable. So you do pay a little bit of a premium with the Archmage, but you also have access to a lot more lores of magic. I mean, with Chaos, you've got a relatively limited selection, just 4 lores of magic, at least for the time being. Whereas High Elves, you have all the common lores plus high magic. actually quite a lot of variety in that way. And obviously being able to heal yourself up on the dragon, especially with either high magic or life magic, does make it that much more powerful, right? And just to kind of wrap this discussion up, the other kind of mid-tier dragon that I'm thinking of today is the black dragon. So 2100 for the basic unit of itself, and again you can take one on the fire sorceress. So if we have a look, or on any sorceress rather, if we have a look here, 1850 for the black dragon. So this is the one issue with the supreme sorceress on the dragon, is that she's actually the most expensive of the three on that mount, and arguably the worst because you can't actually take any healing. In terms of stats, yeah, almost the same, more or less, as the Life Archmage. Like, really paying the extra premium in points isn't really worth it in my mind, and especially compared to the Sorcerer Lord. I mean, Sorcerer Lord is just slightly worse in many aspects, but you have almost all the same lores of magic. Not quite, but pretty close. I guess 2 less? Anyway. But, yeah, the Supreme Sorceress is the least cost-effective of the three. And, I mean, the Sorcerer Lord is sometimes pretty decent deck, especially with Lore of Fire, given that you can kind of self-buff with Cascading Fire Cloak, get the benefit of Kindle Flame. You know, there's a lot of synergy there, whereas with the Black Dragon, there's not really any direct synergies, because there's no bonus damages or anything like that, so tends to be probably the least useful out of these three. Whereas the Moon Dragon, I would say, as a general rule, is probably the most useful in the most variety of situations. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. See you next time.